A new program for children with cerebral palsy is being developed here in St. Louis.
Yeah, St. Louis Children's Hospital has started what's believed to be the first self-defense class for youngsters living with the disease. News Channel 5's Dan Gray has more on the story.
3. Good job.
20-year-old Will Jenkins of Baldwin has a new level of faith in himself.
It helps me feel better physically and mentally, you know. Gives me a lot more confidence and things like that.
6.
Will is one of 5 young people with cerebral palsy in this self-defense class designed by martial arts instructor Michael Utecht of Granite City and Dr. Jan Brunstrom, a pediatric neurologist at St. Louis Children's Hospital.
They come out of it thinking, oh my God, look what I can do with my own hands, when, you know, they have to think about every step that they take.
Dr. Brunstrom knows about those challenges firsthand. She, too, has cerebral palsy. It was her idea to begin this class after she had taken private self-defense classes from Utecht for about a year. Her own experience produced remarkable results.
There was times that I would have to hold her hand, actually for balance, while she was doing techniques. Now she doesn't even have to hold my hand.
Because of their physical limitations, they may not be able to run away from a dangerous situation. Learning self-defense may help them avoid harm.
I haven't learned everything that he knows, but if I had to use my skills, I could use them.
The benefits of the class go beyond self-defense. The students say they are gaining self-esteem and confidence.
My confidence has gone, it's skyrocketed. I feel, you know, not only could I protect myself, but I know what to do to get out of the situation. So it feels really good to be able to just have that confidence to protect myself.
6. Straight back.
Finding strength in body and mind is so exciting that many of these youngsters have signed up for another 6 weeks of classes. On the Night Beat, I'm Dan Gray, News Channel 5.
If you would like more information on the self-defense classes, contact St. Louis Children's Hospital. Still to...
A doctor and a martial arts expert have combined forces to create a first-of-its-kind self-defense class. It's designed for young people who have cerebral palsy. Fox 2's Tom O'Neill shows us in tonight's Generation Next Health Watch.
There. 6. That's it.
Martial arts instructor Mike Utecht is teaching these young people with cerebral palsy the art of self-defense.
I'm trying to work with disabilities they have. Let's say they can't use their legs, so I try to work on an upper body focus. If they can't use one arm, I use lower body focus.
The idea came from Dr. Jan Brunstrom, a pediatric neurologist at St. Louis Children's Hospital, who also has cerebral palsy. She had taken martial arts classes and decided they would be good for the young patients she treats.
But a lot of kids with cerebral palsy are led to believe that they can't do what other kids can do because they don't move the same. Well, it's wrong. They can do what other kids can do. They just have to learn to do it differently.
Each young person brings a spotter to provide balance and support while they learn the maneuvers. 5 students enrolled in this first class, which is now in its 4th week. They're developing self-defense skills, balance, coordination, and more.
Just the confidence that I have never really had before. And I know that if something did ever happen, I would know what to do and what to say, how to get out of the situation.
It can improve your reaction skills, I believe. It can improve you physically and mentally.
This first effort has been so successful that Dr. Brunstrom is already organizing 2 more classes.
It's teaching these kids what they can do, the strengths that they have.
I try not to think about what I can't do. And it's a lot of fun.
Well, these young people are learning skills that really would be worthwhile for anyone to learn.
Yeah, and the doctor thinks that it's very important for these kids because of their disorder, they may literally not be able to run from a troublesome situation. And by learning some basic self-defense, that may help them avoid or escape from a dangerous situation sometimes.
And feel better about themselves at the
yeah.
same time. Thank you, Tom. And here's a number you can call if you'd like more information about enrolling in a self-defense class for children with cerebral palsy. Call this number, 747-4443. 747-4443.
Suitcases on wheels.
Most people would like to know how to protect themselves in dangerous situations, and that's why for many people, martial arts is becoming so appealing.
However, there are few classes available for people with physical disabilities. Until now, as 11 News at 9's Christine Buck tells us.
Okay, ready, strike, 1. Good. 2.
Kids and adolescents with cerebral palsy are learning about martial arts. It's fun and it's a lot of work.
They're no stranger to hard work. They have to work every time they take a step. So they're here, they're eager to learn, and they're very thankful that we're doing this.
Dr. Jan Brunstrom is a pediatric neurologist at St. Louis Children's Hospital. She started working with martial arts instructor Mike Utek last year. She also happens to have cerebral palsy. Brunstrom wanted to share the things she's learned with some of her patients and other kids with CP.
My balance is better, my motor coordination is better, and all these motor skills that I never would have thought that I had, I have.
That's terrific, and now you can share it with these kids.
Well, that's exactly why we're doing this, because I think that the same exact thing is going to happen with these kids.
17-year-old Becky Lammers says she looks forward to these classes.
It also helps me to learn ways to protect myself, you know, in bad situations or whatever.
And Becky's parents are impressed by what they've seen so far.
Ever since she's enrolled in here, she's increased her self-esteem, her good attitude about herself, and I think she feels more comfortable going out.
Mike Utek is a third-degree black belt in Kachikempo Karate, the same system he's teaching here. He's never trained kids with physical challenges, but he says he quickly learned it didn't matter.
I don't look at them as, you know, they have a disability. I look at them, you know, as kids. That's all there is to it. And kids love to do karate from watching TV. They always want to do it. So now that we give them the opportunity to do it.
Christine Buck, 11 News at 9.
The classes are sponsored by St. Louis Children's Hospital, BJC Health Systems, and Washington University School of Medicine. Now, if you're interested in the classes or you'd like some more information, you can call 747-4443. Again, that number, 747-4443.
Ready, one. Good.
This self-defense class for 8 to 18-year-olds with cerebral palsy is the brainchild of this inspiring woman. Dr. Jan Brunstrom, director of the Pediatric Neurology Cerebral Palsy Center at Children's Hospital, Washington University Medical Center in St. Louis, is, like the hardworking students in her class, physically disabled from cerebral palsy. Brunstrom says the benefits she gets from taking self-defense classes led her and instructor Michael Utek to design such a class specifically for young people with CP.
Just the gains that I've made myself in terms of balance, self-confidence, I'm sure that I could defend myself based on what he's taught me. I mean, they're all very useful skills.
Brunstrom says 17-year-old Rebecca Lammers exemplifies the physical and mental benefits CP youngsters gain from such a class.
When I first met her, she used to always look down at the ground and would never look up and was sort of hunched over. And just over the last 6 or 8 weeks, she stands taller, she smiles, she shows her beautiful face to the world, and she's got so much more self-confidence than she ever had before. It's just an amazing transformation.
We've tried horseback riding for therapeutic purposes, and we've tried weightlifting. We still love weightlifting. We do a lot of swimming. We're going to continue some of those, but this has certainly taken the front position. She loves this more than anything.
My balance, my kinesthetic awareness and all that, it's getting better, and my eye-hand coordination and stuff, because that wasn't as good before, and it's getting a lot better.
Brunstrom says she hopes to see self-defense classes for CP kids eventually offered nationally, so that thousands more physically disabled youngsters discover the benefits of such training. From the Washington University Medical Center in St. Louis, I'm Steve Krauschar.
Cerebral palsy is a motor disorder that's caused by damage to the developing brain. It's a one-time injury. It's not a progressive injury, and it usually occurs either before birth, just before birth, around the time of birth, or in a few months just after birth. It's pretty common, about between 2 and 6 per every 1,000 live births. And the majority of kids these days are those that are born extremely prematurely. They're at especially high risk for cerebral palsy. It can be very disabling, and I think if you ask any patient that has cerebral palsy, even if they have minor motor difficulties or just trouble walking, they'll tell you that it's very disabling because it keeps you from doing a lot of things that other people can do, at least the way that things are today. The biggest obstacle that kids, or anybody with a disability, but kids growing up with cerebral palsy face is the attitude that society has about them, because people tend to judge these kids on how they walk, on how they look, and on how they talk or how they move. And you really can't look at somebody and how they move and say, this is how smart they are, this is what's going on inside their head. They have the same feelings as any other kid, and they can do a lot of the same things as any other person. It's just they have to find a different strategy to do it. This is the second session, so we have 6-week sessions. This is the second 6-week session. And you can see just after the very first class that these kids are just much more animated, very proud of themselves. You know, the comment that a lot of them make the first time they hit a punching bag is, wow, I've never hit anything before. This is really cool. And then some of them, you know, before they would look at the ground, they wouldn't look up, they wouldn't smile. Now they have self-confidence. And they go home and they practice these things, and they learn that they can actually learn new motor skills. They can use their arms, they can punch and do things, even if they can't use other parts of their body the way they want to. She's got much better balance, and we're starting to work on having her use less orthotics, and we're going to work on less canes, and she gets around better. I think that, you know, for the ones that are severely disabled, that can't use their arms, and they're wheelchair bound, I think for them that this would not be a great thing. But I think even the ones that are marginally ambulatory, if they can even stand for just a few minutes, they can make significant gains by participating in this, getting them up on their feet, because it gives them something else to do besides thinking about, oh my God, I'm going to fall over, standing isn't fun. And they start to use all these muscles in their legs while they're working on other fun things, and all of a sudden, wow, they can stand a lot longer than they thought they could. Well, at this point, we'd just like to really get it off the ground in St. Louis, and we'd certainly be happy to go and speak to anybody that wants to get it started in other pockets around the country. But we'd like to get the message out that this is a really great thing to do for these kids. It's therapy, it's not just fun, it's therapy, and that this should be looked at as another alternative for these kids to do. It gives me a very unique perspective and a unique insight, but I can't even pretend to know what's in the mind of every child because they all have different disabilities. But what it does give me is this fight that I won't give up. I won't let people say, well, we're not going to do this. I just find somebody who will do it because these kids are worth it. And so I think, you know, if that is motivation or inspiration, then that's great. And if I can show these kids, look, I've done this, I think you can do it too, then I think that's great too.
She is able to balance better. And it happened very quickly. When you throw a punch, you have to take your body out of a real stable position and get yourself a little bit off balance. And she's even noticed that herself, that she's able to do that more efficiently now. It's the idea that you can use your body in an appropriate way. You can walk better, you can stand better, you can be off balance and regain your balance. And these are the kind of skills we're really going for in this class.
Gives my whole body a workout. I'm always tired after I do it. So, yeah. So that's another way that it helps me out.
Ready? 2. There you go. 3. Yeah, that's it.
Turn facing that way. So it's actually
4. Good. 3. That's it. Looking good. Everybody looking good. Keep those hands up. 4. 7. Good. 8. Good. 9. Get to look at your target. 10. 11. 12.
Not the bottom.
Right there. Ready? 1. Good. 2. Right there. Ready? 3. Good. 4. Straight up. Straight up. Straight up. That's it.
that is our top.
7. Good. Hit hard, okay? It's a hard strike. Ready? 1. Good. Okay, wait, take.
Good. It's self-defense and self-esteem all rolled into one. You know, most of us are familiar with the medical condition known as cerebral palsy. We know it for the physical limitations and the hardships it can cause for those living with it. But thanks to the vision of one doctor and the commitment of one martial arts teacher, we now can see cerebral palsy in a whole new light.
1, 2.
3. That's it. Don't drop that hand when you punch. Keep that up.
He is a 24-year master of martial arts. But last year, Michael Utecht embarked on the biggest challenge of his life,